Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. How are you doing this morning? Bob and Viv are in the house, as in, like, not on the show, in the house, in that showbiz hip-hop kind of way, but they're actually staying here in the house. And I've just got a message. Incredibly sorry for the interruption. Might I have the Wi-Fi password when convenient? Yes, Bob, I'm just sending it through to you now. Okay. Okay, let's get that through. It's in my favorites, especially for this sort of occasion. So let's go through to Bob, who is in fine fettle. I think a number of us had quite a dramatic day yesterday. Bob and Viv had a little bit of car trouble. Mrs. M had a bit of car trouble. I don't know if you're aware, I was quite distracted at the end of the show yesterday. And it was because Mrs. M was furiously or frantically ringing me. There you go. You got it now, Bob. Should be on your WhatsApp. Yeah, because the clutch had burnt out up a hill in Leiria de Porto. So it was really quite a dramatic day. All sorts going on. Definitely a transit in Uranus or something like that yesterday, which Mrs. M can tell you all about, of course, at feelgoodastrology.com. Stewart Noakes is joining us at around 9:30, and he's bringing somebody called Kev with him, who is in the business of business here in Portugal. Stewart, of course, is from Canopy, the Canopy community, Canopy.community, if you want to look him up. And he, of course, will tell us about what's going on business-wise here in Portugal. He's got a great overview of what's going on in the startup scene and what's going on with entrepreneurs here in Portugal. So looking forward to talking to Stu on his second visit. Is it, let me just check, because the timing, that timing doesn't sound right. I've got the Doc joining us as well. Doc's coming in at 9:30. Okay, so Stu will be with us at around 9:10. Hopefully Astrid will be here as well to tell us about what's going on over at Expats Portugal tomorrow evening. I can tell you that the Dream Team session, the ever popular, increasingly popular Dream Team session, will be occurring at 9. But it escapes my mind for the time being about what's happening at 7:30, which I will be hosting. I'll be all over it by 7:30 tomorrow evening. And of course, Queen of the Visas, Gilda Pereira, will be with us at the meetup today. We've got over 20 people, 25 people or so coming to the meetup in San Martino at the Storytellers at lunchtime today. So a lovely day. Bob and Viv will be there as well, of course. Global Nobles, hello, bom dia desde California. You're in California at the moment, going back to Cali. Right, how is it over there, Amy and Greg? And Starbuck, of course. Bom dia, Portugal from João Ernesto de Norte. Actually, yeah, that's a great reminder that I'm not up to date on the lovely images that you've been sending from Spain as well. Sarah's in too, getting herded to America. What's this, early tomorrow? See y'all in August. So you're popping back as well. That's interesting. A lot of Americans heading home for one reason or another. Transmitting, safe journey and happy travels, Sarah and the Yerman clan. Transmitting calming, tranquil and cooling thoughts and energy to one and all. Cheers from the still cool mountains of Spain. Thank you, João Ernesto. In a padre kind of capacity. Actually, I've got some relaxing pictures to show you here before we move on and say hello to a few more people this morning. These are John's pictures from Spain. Isn't that amazing? When you live in Pontelima, you can just pop across the border and go and enjoy a Spanish national park as well. Quite incredible. And it was lovely to be able to sing The Hills Are Alive with the sound of music as Marion was joining us yesterday morning, and I yodeled to her, and she yodeled back, which was fabulous. And there's Pam looking at the view. Isn't that amazing? Thank you, John. Keep them coming. And I think we may need to string those together into a nice little video about what's possible when you pop across the border. People relaxing continued. That's a nice looking pool. I've learned a thing or two about pool maintenance just recently, and that's looking pretty good. I think that's the tile scheme rather than algae, the green highlights you can see there. And a nice lawn as well, some decent sod right there. Not talking about you, although you are a decent sod. It has to be said by Randy. Good morning to you. And also forgot to show these, talking of people relaxing and chilling. We talked to Mariam, but we didn't have a look at her pictures that she sent in of her relaxing. That must be between sessions on her retreats. Resting and recuperating and soaking in the transformation, I'm sure, is very important. This looks like a very cool desk with a built-in chard plant to go with your little journal there. I think Marion is really deeply relaxing. This is what you can look forward to if you join her on one of her retreat courses. And there she is doing a bit of qigong by a tree, a maple, lovely looking tree. She's not here this morning to ask where this was. I mean, this looks like a lovely venue and backdrop. And there she is again, taking it nice and easy. So you can join her. Oh, and colleague John on forthcoming retreats at walksperia.com. Great to chat to Marion yesterday. Okay, let's bring there we go. That's the right frame. Bobby may also pop in. We've got some updates, some of the latest pictures from Haddad Damir. Do you remember when it was just a field when we were first there at the marketing suite? It's coming out the ground nicely now. Bobby might pop in as well to see us this morning too. So let's see who's here. Let's say hi to Pete as well. Pete is just sending a simple heart this morning. Thank you very much, Pete. And Deagle, a weather report from Belfast. God Squad, tip of the day, of course, and greetings from James. He's dried up on the mindful dad jokes and mindful moments. Maybe it's just a little bit of cosmic constipation, and the downloads will continue soon. But if it ain't there, it ain't there. There's no point stressing about it. Such is the essence of mindfulness. Bom dia, campus. Feliz carta a todos. Como vão as coisas? Is what James is asking you. And Deagle's weather report then. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers. Yesterday was beautiful in sunny, hot Belfast, 21 degrees. Blue skies. Today it's warm already, 14 degrees. It'll be cooler, but a nice, comfortable 18. And yesterday, Minister of Home Affairs, Kathy, Mrs. McKillen and Deagle were at City Hospital in Belfast from 9 in the morning till 8:15 at night. Kathy getting her fourth session of chemo, but two different people with families, friends rang the bell. Not sure what that means, but have they come to see you, come to visit you and check in on how Kathy's doing? Lots of love to you all over there in that process, Deagle. And please give our best and our love to Kathy, if you will. Oh, they ended their treatment. Lots of happy tears, clapping, cheering. It was such a boost to many sitting nervously there. That you dream again. We'll be in Portugal in 2025. Yes, absolutely. See you in Portugal in 2025, the pair of you. Solar Life Portugal, we have had heating on many a day and evening this summer and even lit our big fire. Been a duller, colder summer this year, normal rainfall. It's definitely not been the summer I would have expected a few years ago here in Portugal either, but I suspect a little bit warmer than yours in Belfast, Eagle. Bon dia, Gumpers from Michael. Looking forward to seeing everyone who'll be at the Storytellers Palace today. Michael, see you later on with the family Barton. Quite a few families turning up and a big turnout for the Storytellers this lunchtime. Bon dia, Portugal from the Naunu as well. Good to see you, the Naunu. Have I said hello to everybody? Let's quickly do the God Squad. Tip of the day, top of the barn to you. Bon dia, Gumpers. E Feliz Carta, currently at the River 7 services. Oh, I've been there, having made an early start. I imagine Stewart Noakes has been there as well as he's popped over to Wales from Devon. Only another 3 hours to go. Have a great day all. Give my love to the Severn Estuary. Quite the bore there a couple of times a year where you can surf up the river, I think, as the sea comes in. God Squad tip of the day then. Having suggested to my friend that he should start gently by walking and then gradually building up his strength, he wanted to know whether he should change his diet. I think we know what's coming. Given that it seemed to consist mostly of crisps and sweets, I think it's going to be a big yes from the coach. I said I thought that might be a good idea, but where to start? Sneak in a kale chip into his supply chain there. Snacking may not be addictive, but it certainly can become a habit, particularly if you have recently stopped working full time. Yeah. Instead of checking your email, you go check the larder instead. So my suggestion was to find healthier things to eat, such as fruit, vegetables, and nuts. I wonder what he said about that. We'll see how he gets on. Cheers, coach. Let's give Stewart a nice big round of applause and find out where he is this morning. He's in his Devon home this morning with the grand piano in the background. Morning, Stewart.
I do like the StreamYard backdrops. They're very good, Carl. Very good. Nice to see you, mate. How is everything?
Very good, very good. It's a somewhat muted morning here on the Silver Coast. A silvery sky. We've got 20 degrees already, 20 and a half degrees. I think it's going to be a nice one. We've got a bit of a networking lunch today at the Storytellers Palace here in San Martino de Porto. You're all about the networking, and you've brought someone to see us this morning as well. Yeah,
so Kev's going to be popping in a sec. Kev's super interesting. He's got a business in Newquay. He's a software developer. He's been doing it for sort of 10 years with a whole team of people in his company, Flomo. And he's just exploring moving to Portugal and moving the company to Portugal, setting up in the Algarve. And I thought, given your kind invitation to come back each month, he might be a great person to come and chat here and maybe get some advice. He's done his first visits. He's had a look around. He can tell you all about it, but in general, he seems to have fallen in love with the place. So let's see what we can do to help him.
We'll see if we can help this morning with Kev, because it is Ask Anything About Portugal Wednesday. So as well as, did you say Flomo? That's a good name for a company, isn't it?
Yeah, Flomo.co. Yes, he's keen surfer as well. So.
You see, of course, a Newquay in Cornwall, there you would be, wouldn't you? That's a kind of surfing mecca, isn't it? So maybe he'll pick Nazaré here in. I'm not sure the waves are as big in Nazaré as they are in Newquay. We'll find out. We'll have a chat with you.
I don't know if you know, Carl, but there's a really good Ryanair link between Newquay and Faro Airport. He can fly there quicker than he can get to London. To be honest, it's perfect, which is why he's been exploring the Algarve. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's a really good. I mean, can have a nice sort of bilocated lifestyle between Faro and Newquay. That sounds brilliant. Newquay Airport there. So now who's just telling us my friend is finally coming to Porto today on the work visa. Wish I could join someday soon. Well, all the best to your friend and whoever Video1T is using our program to test their software. You're very welcome. So before we go to Kev, what's new in your world? What's new at Canopy .community there, Stu?
Well, Carl, we're doing a lot at the moment with City University in London and really creating that bridge. And I sort of mentioned that when I was here last time. And we've got our remote edition of Demo Night coming up in a couple of weeks' time. But then in September, we're back in person and we've got the first Portuguese startups coming over from Lisbon to be part of the Demo Night in London.
Really?
So we're very excited about that. And that's kind of it's a bi-directional bridge. So there are people in London that are absolutely loving the idea of coming to Web Summit in November and being on the stage in Demo Night that we do in Lisbon. Nice. And then there are already companies in Portugal planning to be in London to try and test out the British market and to see if London will be a good landing pad. And with City University, we've got 2 incubators there that they can explore and they can use as their home when they come into London and stuff. And there's all the access points and advisors and stuff through that. So really great opportunity in both directions, really.
Wonderful. All sorts going on. Okay, let's not keep Kev waiting. Let's give him a nice big round of applause and bring him on to the stage. Good morning to you, Kev. Nice to meet you.
How are you? Yeah. Very well. Not too bad. I'm sorry, but I've fallen out with you already, moaning about the summer in Portugal. Come on.
Well, yeah, okay. All right. No, fair point.
Please note the jumper, Carl. Please note the jumper, okay? It's the end of July.
No, I can understand how bad that must sound and how spoiled. You like check your summer privilege kind of stuff.
Yeah, poor chap. It was 12 degrees on the way to work this morning, and you're moaning about 20. It's not.
I don't get any sense that you feel sorry for me, Kev.
Nothing at all. No.
So you'll notice, Carl. You'll notice what's behind Kev in his office. He literally has the surfboard ready to go.
Yes, ready for action.
It's a bit dry at the moment. Unfortunately, it's not been used as much as it should have been. In the last,
how far are you from the sea at the moment, Kev? How far from the desk?
It's there. I can just see it just over the hill. But it's colder, rougher, and there's a little bit more sewage in it than there should be. So,
I'm sorry to. Yeah, okay, all right. I take it. I live here in a paradise of beautiful weather and great surfing.
you
Kev.
do,
So,
you do.
can we start again? Can we start again?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So there are two main principal things to talk about with you is your business and the fact that you're coming to, or well, thinking about coming to Portugal. We'd be delighted to help you with that. Are these two things linked? Is your business vision to come to Portugal?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, personally, I've always been a bit of a Europhile.
Right.
I lived in France for 3 years when I was a bit younger. Brought my family to France. They went to school for 3 years. I ran the business from France at that point. Came back to the UK, moved to Cornwall. Have been here for a while, and I know Stu quite well. I've been working with him for a few years now. And we're at the point where we want to expand a little bit, expand our offering. And Portugal just seems like a no-brainer, to be honest, Carl. It's Stu's mentioned the links from Newquay to Faro are almost trivial at the moment. Anyway, let's hope Ryanair keep it up, and let's hope the Cornwall Council will continue to support the airport. Yeah. And I've visited with a non-holiday work mindset, and just falling in love with the place. There's a whole stack of reasons why it just seems to make sense for this next step.
And it sounds to me like you were a digital nomad before that was a thing. You're a coding guy, is that right?
Yes, I was. So I'd fly back to London from La Rochelle Airport once every few months. It was in the Vendée in southwest France, and it was quite a while ago. It was 20 years ago now. But they, very similar to Cornwall, they invested quite heavily in fiber links and in WiMAX technology. So you could work. I was working for some projects for MTV at the time. You could work from a barn on this little farm that we bought. So it was completely possible 20 years ago to be a digital nomad. And I think it's easier now than it was, particularly since COVID. I think that's because businesses are also becoming more used to that little bit of permissiveness where people can work from. I've employed people who live in Portugal before, and there's just no real change. I mean, if people are sat at home 2 hours away from the office or 10 minutes away from the office, it's still the same. So
brilliant.
So we've already been able to do some really interesting stuff, Carl. So obviously a big shout out to the Algarve Evolution, which have been one of the first partners that we've contacted with, and Antonio and Miguel there.
What is that then? Hold on a minute, because there's lots to unpack here. We've got to find out what Kev does. And Algarve Evolution is what is something like Canopy, but based in the Algarve.
So Algarve Evolution is like the I'll use my words, and Miguel will probably kill me and put something in the comments, but it's like the trade body of tech companies across the Algarve.
Okay.
And it's put together a few years ago to kind of aggregate the weight of thought in that area, and then to lobby the CCDR and general represent the Algarve as a destination for technology companies. So Canopy, we're a card-carrying paid-up member of the Algarve Evolution, and we have been for a number of years. And so we reached out to Antonio, who kind of runs the community side of that, and connected him with Kev to try and set up some introductions and some general understanding. And also, there are 9 incubators across the Algarve with lots of different startups in them, people that could be friends and contacts and stuff for Kev. So it's good to kind of connect to that. And more than 300 digital companies as well. And the Algarve Evolution also put together the Algarve Tech Hub, which is in the campus of the University of the Algarve. And so we've connected Kev also to the university there, and he can talk a bit more about what they're hoping to do together as well. And then, CLIA is the access point in the university, the kind of tech transfer office and innovation office. And Hugo's been helping Kev from that perspective and sort of aligning with the university. And of course, we've connected him to the right accountants and lawyers and stuff to help set everything up. So all based in Portugal and all very keen to help and very useful and very, how can I put it, trustworthy is the right word I would use. So it's very hard to find good, reliable advice.
I think the key message from all of that is how welcoming the community is. It's very kind of open, and it encourages, I think, people to consider Portugal as a place either work from or to set business up. The Algarve evolution particularly have been really helpful. They've introduced me already to a number of people that have helped understand how the legal framework is kind of positioned, what I need to consider when I'm thinking about hiring new staff in Portugal, what funding opportunities might be available, where we could set the office up, links with other businesses in the area, links with the university as well. So I've been kind of bowled over by how welcoming everybody is. So I'm excited.
Well, I think that's a general theme for Portugal, whether you're living or working here. Thanks very much for that link, Stu. We'll make sure people have got that for Algarve Evolution. And I think this is also very visionary of them as well, because this is if you look over to Spain at the moment, they seem to have driven themselves into a tourism-based economic cul-de-sac. And Spanish people are quite upset about that. And you can understand that, but it's not very nice for the tourists who are getting sprayed with water pistols because they have chosen to go to Spain. And this sounds like a really smart move in the Algarve to complement tourism with a different economic culture. It's really important, isn't it, I think, for the future. And is that part of their mission as well, to balance things out a bit like that, Stu?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's about diversifying GDP. It's about getting rid of some of the seasonality of GDP, and it's about creating opportunities for younger people, particularly in the Algarve, where they can grow a tech career without leaving the Algarve. And one of the things they've done a lot of, and Miguel particularly has been amazing at, is they've represented now all over the world, showing everybody what life in Portugal is like, what a tech life can be like in Portugal, and connecting people and bringing people back. And some of the money they lobbied from CCDR is being used to get out there to San Francisco, get out there to Austin, Texas, to give presentations all over the world and say, come and have a look. And then using Faro Airport as the international landing pad, particularly German and French companies have really embraced the opportunity to come and have a look and see what they could do there, because it's easy and cheap. That's just as Kev's finding, it's probably cheaper to fly from Newquay to Faro than it is to fly from Newquay to Gatwick, right? So
I wanted to ask you about that, Kev, actually. With Ryanair, is it like, 30 quid for the flight, but if you want to bring your surfboard, it's an extra 500?
There's no way I'd take a board on the Ryanair.
Okay, well, that brings us back to this tech lifestyle, isn't it? That is very wisely and brilliantly promoted by the people you've been talking about at Algarve Evolution. And of course, they've got Web Summit to boast about as well, haven't they? Once a year you can pop up from the Algarve and go to Web Summit as well. Good work, Portugal, generally speaking. And this idea then of the tech lifestyle and bringing it back to your business, Kevin, and your lifestyle. You're sat at your computer developing your business, and then at lunchtime you can just get your board from behind you there and go out and surf. Is that how it works in reality?
That's the dream. Yeah. I mean, often the problem is the more successful your business is, the less chance you actually have to get in the sea, unless you're really kind of self-controlled. But I think there's an important point there that Stu made as well. There's a lot of parallels between Cornwall, where we are, and the Algarve. Cornwall's it's a huge tourist place. There's tension in a successful tourist place with things like second properties and second homes. So I understand there's a bit of a paradox there, in that I'm thinking about starting a business in the Algarve, and the more people that bring money into the Algarve, pressure on house prices and things. But it's not a simple equation. But the dream I had with the Cornish business is to pay people a good wage in a place that's really lovely to live. And that's the same thing, I think, in the Algarve, is that to have the opportunity to do interesting work for international clients in a place that's lovely to live at the same time. It seems all possible. So it's going to be an exciting few months as we.
What a wonderful mission, as a social mission, as much as a business mission, with your specific activities in your business, which are, Kevin, because I'm still not quite sure what it is you do, and if people do want,
he's a geek, Carl. He's a geek.
Well, I can't say things like that. You know him better than I do, obviously. What is
it's a huge range of things. So the latest project we just launched last week is for a business that have got a coastal safety platform. It's a big problem with tourists jumping in the sea when they shouldn't do in Cornwall, and then having to be rescued. So
same here. So another parallel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we the business that we built this platform for had a vision to launch an application which connects to meteorological data, marine data, pollution data, is advised by the RNLI on what safety parameters to use. And then you can use this app to say what beaches are safe to go to, particularly for tourists. I mean, if you're a surfer, you'll go to Magic Seaweed or something.
Yes.
But if you're a tourist, then you can use this platform to understand which beaches you should stay clear of if they've had a pollution incident. So that kind of application we build. And then on the other hand, we'll build big billing systems for global telcos that help them understand what bills they should pay and which bills they shouldn't. So it's a mix between consumer-facing mobile apps and rather kind of hardcore business-critical applications.
Very good. Okay.
Anywhere. So,
and that's what you want to bring to Portugal as well, is it?
Yeah, and we want to grow into new areas, maybe expand the data science team, which is one of the reasons we're thinking of locating ourselves close to Faro University, because they do a lot of data science,
right,
and interesting stuff there. So there's opportunities to work with academia, and to kind of. I think there's two parts to it. There's starting a new business in Portugal and expanding the business, and then there's giving the UK team the opportunity to work somewhere for a few months a year. That's great food, great wine.
Mr. Ambassador, you are spoiling us, because I mean, you. It sounds like you might have lured tech people to Cornwall, and just as they're getting, the Cornish sand in their hair and maybe going surfing from time to time, they get the chance to come to Faro as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not too bad. Amusingly, a couple of them said, "We'll take a cut in pay if we can go and work from Portugal half the year." Obviously, I won't.
This is wonderful news. And so, is this going to be a global network then? Which is Hawaii going to be on there as well? Is this going to be a?
I think I've got a limited amount of energy. There's definitely a certain amount of petrol in the brain that's going to get depleted by too many locations. But let's see how Portugal goes. I mean, I think it's got everything you could possibly need, surely. So. There's no need.
True. Yeah. No, I'm not trying to do Portugal a disservice there, but I was thinking, well, this lifestyle that you speak of that seems so attractive could just be scaled up and up and around the world, basically. But yeah, let's one step at a time.
Focus. You're proud as me for losing focus and getting distracted. It's
on that note then of moving to Portugal and just being a bit focused on Portugal for the moment. What can we do for you, or what can our community, Good Morning Portugal, do for you in your search and your orientation here?
Our first step will be hiring. So if there's any data scientists out there, or any good data engineers that want to stay in the Algarve and are looking for work, then that's going to be our first challenge.
What a lovely offer.
Great support through Algarve Evolution and through the incubators there, and through other businesses that are involved in helping new businesses launch. But similar to the UK, I think the problem is finding talented individuals.
Yes.
And in a way, that was part of the vision with Cornwall as well, is that you offer somebody a really nice place to work, and at a time in someone's career, they start to think about moving somewhere that's nicer to live rather than living in a city. So it's like I say, there's a lot of parallels. And it as Stu said, it's 2 hours and 5 minutes to fly from just over the hill over there to Faro, and it'd take me 4 hours to get to London. And I'd be stood away as well. And there wouldn't be nice wine for sale in the car, and it'd be more than €1 for a coffee. So, I mean,
yes, much and much more stressful. This is turning out beautifully, and what a lovely offer to young Portuguese people. Well, I guess of any age, but if let's say you were a young coder in the Algarve and you grew up there, and you were thinking, as people do in this culture, I need to leave the country if I'm going to seek fame and fortune. Traditionally here, that means leaving, doesn't it? And not just leaving your country, but leaving an amazing country and an amazing part of the country and a lovely lifestyle and your family to be able to work in the Algarve where you were born. Doing something exciting like that is a fantastic offer. So thank you for bringing that to Portugal. I mean, that's all of you really, isn't it? Including Algarve Evolution, including Canopy. This is a lovely vision.
Yeah, and it's a really joined up community trying to make it happen. It's taken, I think, Algarve Evolution 10 years of developing things to really create this sort of network to be able to do this. But now is a really good time to take advantage of that. And a really weird reflection, as Kevin mentioned, the coffee. Carl, I got a Starbucks the other day on Woking train station in the UK, right? So I got a flat
Living
white.
the dream. Living the dream, Stu.
Absolutely. This is what you need out of your life, right? So flat white and a pan au chocolat. Tell me how much that is in UK money nowadays for a little pastry and a flat white in the morning on a train station.
Well, you see, I'm used to, in this cold summer of Portugal. I would expect to pay about, I don't know, €1 or €1.20 for a cafe nata. I think you might have paid a little bit more than that.
We're talking £7.20 was my
Ouch.
bill last week for a flat white made in Starbucks and a little pastry, a little pan au chocolat. Yeah,
but I bet it was delicious.
No, it was really not. And it wasn't complemented by the price of the train either, which cost me nearly as much as my monthly Lisbon rail pass. To do one trip into London. I could not believe it.
Dread to think what's traveling on the railways. But then again, you know, they are the most beautiful. It is the most beautiful railway system, and all the trains run on time, and they're all clean and everything.
You see, this is the problem with gentlemen of a certain age. We all whinge about the trains and the taxis, right? But it's true. Yeah. Like literally, you know, I can pop into Lisbon, get my card for the month, and I'll spend less than 1 day trip from Reading into London.
Yeah, incredible. So many reasons to move here. So, Kev, let us know how we can help and keep in touch. It'd be lovely to see how this unfolds for you. And I just, well, you're not going to be flying into Faro with a board under your arm, as you said before.
No.
So that's going to be taken care of differently, is it? You're going to have a store of surfboards on this side of the water.
Well, that's the second thing I need to sort out on my next visit is where we can, find a store.
You just have another shelf like that, but in his office in Portugal, right? And just have another board in the Algarve.
Do you know Nick at Algarve Addicts? Because he could help you out with that, I'm sure. He's a great bloke. Nick is a really wonderful and helpful person. He's a stand-up paddleboarder, but I think he's also a surfer as well. But that's stand-up paddleboarding. That's more of an old geezer thing, isn't it, compared to you youngsters on your surfboards?
I find it incredibly difficult. I'm rubbish. Yeah. I can't even stay on my feet. I'm much happier moving at speed along a wave than I am trying to stand up.
Right.
And you've met me, Carl. I've got no balance or coordination of any type, so really surfing is not for me.
Well, I've got news for you. Kev is taking us surfing one day, Stu. I think
right at Faro Beach. There's waves there during the winter, I hear, which is what I'm hoping.
Come and see us on the Silver Coast here. My son loves his coding job here in Portugal. Great idea, Kev, from Bairandi in our community here. And just one more thing, Kev. Which beard competitions are you taking part in this year?
I stuck it on just for this. I've got an embarrassing chin, so I just glued it on for this call so that nobody will recognize me.
That is magnificent, my friend. And I want to see you waxed. I mean, you got surfboard wax, presumably beard wax. There's wax everywhere at your camp.
I'm embarrassed to say I do have beard wax.
Well, we look forward to seeing you at Beard Expo as well as Web Summit.
Nice to meet you, Carl.
And great to meet you too, Stewart. Thanks for bringing Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. And we'll be back next month if you'll still have us. I'll bring another friend along and to come and chat with you. The one thing we forgot to mention with Kev is he's super interested to hear from anybody in your network who's already moved to the Algarve particularly and set up a company, just to get a bit of extra depth of experience. If there's anybody out there that's happy to share, please get in contact with Kev.
I've got a couple of people I want to introduce you to already, Kev, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Stu, maybe in Lisbon, and we can come along. It's a virtual presentation, isn't it? Next time we don't have to come to Lisbon to
August the 14th. Demo nights remote. Yeah, we got people from the UK, from India, from Portugal. Victor from Build Up Labs in Lisbon is presenting for that one from a Portuguese perspective. But easy to access the live stream, and it'll be on our YouTube channel. So everybody's happy, very welcome to take a look at that.
Canopy.community. Fantastic. All right. See you next month. Cheers, Stu.
Thanks, buddy. See you later.
Bye. There they go. I should have brought Andy onto the screen a little sooner. He's a coder too. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. Andy the Doc Thompson, how you doing?
Well, good, thanks, Carl. You?
Oh, well, we got a wave rather than a fist this morning. What's that? Everything okay? Didn't take much encouragement, did it? Yeah, very well. And I think you caught the tail end of that conversation. Well, I mean, if you had your life over again, can you imagine that? Surfing and coding in the Algarve, what a career!
Yeah, it would. I mean, a bit different to my previous career, one of the problems with being a medic was, and a solely English-speaking medic, was that I was pretty much restricted in my geographical positioning. So, and choice as a family doctor meant that you're pretty much wedded to your local community for life. But yeah, it would have been nice. I do like traveling. I love the water. I really enjoy coding. Yeah, so yeah, we would have been good.
Or maybe a second career, Doc.
Well, I'm currently developing single-handedly an app which may or may not be commercially successful.
Seriously? Okay. Yeah. All right. You're getting a fisting back from Randy this morning. Keep that going in the chat, everybody. Yes, and before we move on and talk about politics, which we invariably do when you're on, and it's one of those rare moments, I think, when it's tolerated and even encouraged here on the Good Morning Portugal show, because so far we've managed to be a good-humoured about it all, haven't we? And, I think we've had some probing and interesting conversations, and we managed to stay good-humoured and open-minded about it all, which is what I value about our conversations, Doc. Before we move on to that, though...
Was that a gentle warning?
Yeah. Did you see what I did there?
I did.
Oh, hold on. Here's another one. No, it really wasn't. It really wasn't. I wanted to ask you about when you were a doctor. Is it a Gladstone bag where the doctor's case?
Yes, yeah, right. I do still have one.
Do you? I guess an old habit that dies hard when you've got that. Now I want to ask you what's in there. Is it just gin and your own supplies for getting through the day, or are there things like syringes and thermometers and stethoscopes in there too?
Well, there's a portion that has whiskey, chocolate, and cigars.
Like a drinks cabinet. Right. Yeah. A doctor's vending setup.
And a shot glass. But the majority of it was rubber gloves, rectal thermometers, beautiful things like that.
Well, you don't want to get those compartments mixed up.
KY jelly.
Sounds like a good night out as well as the service to the community. Fantastic. Right.
On a Saturday night.
Right, where's my bag? Doc, did we have a UK election in between us speaking?
Allegedly, yeah. Yeah, we did. Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
So we may have talked about the prospect of Labour government, which was pretty straightforward, and there's no big surprises there. What's your as a Brit, as a keen observer of politics, what's your analysis of the most recent British election?
Well, I was encouraged by the capping of the Farage vote. And also by the election of several independents who were protesting the outrage that's taking place in Gaza. And I'm also encouraged by yesterday's rebellion by a small number, unfortunately, but 7 Labour MPs against the 2-child benefit cap.
Right, okay.
They were supporting the SNP motion. So there are signs of perhaps green shoots of recovery for the left.
Steady. Yes. I remember being at an environmental conference, and somebody said it was around that time when the green shoots of recovery. It's now a cliche, I suppose, isn't it? But it was a time when that was a new idea, and someone said, "Oh yeah, if you see green shoots, it's probably just mold." Yeah. All right, cynical. All right, so generally,
I also talked about the French election last time I was on.
Yes, you did, and of course we've got to talk about what's coming up in the US, because that's changed quite a lot since we last spoke.
Indeed, but yes. I think I was proven right in that the French election potentially was had considerable effect on the shaping of the leadership of the European community in the discussions that occurred immediately afterwards. Yeah. And even though we don't have a French government yet, not a proper one, a prime minister, etc. As a result of that election, what we did have was a very clear fracturing of the right across Europe in response to their defeat by the combined forces of the centre-left in France.
Right. So have they got they have a two-part election, don't they?
They do.
And is the second part yet to happen?
No, the second part has happened, and
Right.
the centre-left defeated the right wing, but they haven't yet agreed on a prime minister, partly because the leader of France Unbowed, Mélenchon, who I think is a great politician personally, but is very abrasive and has managed to upset most of the members of his coalition before they formed the coalition. So although they formed the coalition, a number of them have said they're not going to support him as prime minister. So let's see what happens.
It's not really a coalition, is it? It's just a load of people in a room.
Well, it was
yelling at each other.
It was a coalition in that they had a common enemy, but it wasn't a coalition that they didn't have an agreed leader. So what do you make of that? It's an anarcho-syndicalist, anti-right collective.
With blessed cheesemakers in the mix there somewhere. Right, of course. Now, they've got the Olympics to distract them as well now, haven't they? It's like, bread and circuses, let them eat cake, let them eat the Olympics. I guess that's probably what's going on in France and Paris right now.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the reasons that they've postponed the sort of horse trading of the post-election coalition, because they want to get the election out of the way and then have something stable while the Olympics are going on.
Yeah, fair enough.
Postpone the trauma till afterwards.
Yes, and what I quite like the sound of when I was hearing about the French election system is that they say the first vote is with your heart and the second vote is with your head. So you get a chance to express both faculties, which is not necessarily the case in other elections, as I think we're about to find out in the United States in November.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I like that aspect of the French election. I think it's very helpful. It kind of says, this is where you're heading if you carry on voting this way, but you could pull back from the brink, and that was what happened.
Yes.
In terms of America, it's interesting. Let's quickly pivot to America, because I think what we've seen, I mean, you do have this long drawn out process. But the primaries kind of are a first stage, and the following opinion polls, and it was pretty clear until Biden's withdrawal that the Democrats are about to go over a cliff and take the rest of the US with them. Biden pulling out and Kamala Harris very, very rapidly getting a huge amount of support. She raised $80 million in the first 24 hours, which is enormous considering Biden's total war chest was just 100 at that point. So, and she has now got the support of 49 governors and virtually all the Democratic senators and congressmen, and is starting to show. Thank you, Mr. S. And is starting to show the beginnings of a recovery in the polls. And I think that there are three reasons for thinking that she can probably beat Trump. And we need, first of all, to look at who she is. She is a non-white.
Hold on a minute.
Sorry, she's got a Jamaican father and Indian mother. So a non-white female, reasonably aged, being the same age as myself. So she of course, at the perfect age.
20 years ago, you just said she was ancient, but now because you're the same age. You're like, yeah, she's middle-aged. Yeah, okay.
And she has aligned herself with progressive politics, not hugely, but enough to draw over a further significant part of the electorate, I suspect. Mm-hmm. And definitely the non-white vote, which hasn't been as pro-Biden as people might have thought.
Yeah.
and she's also likely. Well, that's who she is. And if you look then at what she's previously done, and I loved her speech, was it yesterday, when she said she has gone after cheats, frauds, and criminals in the past, so she knows how to go after Trump. I mean, she's positioning herself as the prosecutor against the criminal, and that will play well with the kind of law and order brigade.
Well, the audience were loving it. There was a lot of whooping and hollering and cheering. It sounded like a MAGA rally to me.
Well, it was certainly. I mean, you've got to remember it. She was preaching to the choir. However, yes, I think they were loving it because they knew that this was going to really resonate with enough in the undecided independent electorate so that they can win in November. And thirdly, the question is what she'll do, and her economics are sort of left of centre. She'll support expenditure on forgiving student debt, for example, and a number of other spending measures which will support the middle class in America. And also she's likely to, although she won't significantly change the policy on Israel, she's likely to be rather tougher than Biden has been on their use of arms and settlers. So I suspect that will play well with the younger electorate. And she'll maintain their geopolitical stance on the Asia Pacific and on Ukraine and on NATO. So generally, I suspect she's going to, and as someone just said, she'll whoop Trump's ass in a debate.
Well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see with that. I mean, what was when I heard that speech yesterday, I thought this is very as entertaining as it was for certain people, and I guess it was a sort of battle cry, wasn't it, to supporters, and to sort of whipping people up into a frenzy of support and in a few more dollars coming into the coffers. It was a bit light on policy, wasn't it? And I just thought, well, is this where we're at? I mean, and you would, I guess, arguably, there is a complaint about politics that it is just a personality battle and people taking chunks out of each other, which doesn't show politics in a very good light. And then that's exactly what she did for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes.
Well, I think the States, things tend to be more of a beauty contest than even in the UK, I'm afraid. And I will risk having a lot of brickbats thrown at me for saying this might be the result of the political nous of the electorate. But I don't know. I mean, I think she's not going to represent a lot of policy change from Biden, so it's difficult to come out with policy measures if you're broadly going to be the continuity candidate in terms of policy. Right. But I think she will respond to Trump's shit. She certainly will. She will be.
I was a bit slow with that on the expletive button.
She will be talking about rolling back the decision on Roe v. Wade, etc., etc. And I think those kind of individual but narrow policy decisions will help.
We shall see. Well, I mean, it has certainly enlivened the political process and the run up to the American election, of which or about which many are interested and fascinated, and I'm sure it will continue to stir things up around the world, and of course for our American friends who live here in Portugal as well. Is your cat scratching your tablet there or something? What's going on, Andy?
Oh, sorry, no, that was me
fiddling.
Sorry.
No worries. Okay, we had a further question about the doctor's bag from earlier on, and we got a few more comments coming in as well. Obviously, from what you're saying there about Kamala Harris's appearance as a runner and rider in the for the Democrats in the American election. Back in the day, didn't the medicos dispense a shot of brandy to assuage most ailments? What was that, about 1975?
No, a bit older than that. But Guinness was still prescribable certainly in the late 60s, early 70s. In fact, possibly later than that. I think, it might only have been banned when they brought in the what was the term? Goodness.
Prohibition.
No. There was a specific thing. It was medicines, but it wasn't. These are different terms. Medicines of
ill repute,
unproved
inefficacy, I guess.
Proven efficacy. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I think alcohol's got a very long track record of efficacy, quite frankly. But anyway,
yeah.
Everything in moderation. Okay, thanks, Raul Ernesto, for that. Cheers to you, and have a great day in Spain. Stood outside the closed bank this morning, greeting the staff as they arrived, until another customer walked past us into the bank. No bugger had the courtesy to tell us the doors had been unlocked, and we're wondering why the Englishman was stood outside greeting people. It's like that comedian, what's it called, Troy Hawke. Good day. How do you do? Marvelous. Upright posture. Yes, as you were. Carry on. Very good.
My policy is to wait until 2 minutes after the door should have opened and then keep trying them.
That's the same approach that you have to the pub, I've heard as well.
That's half an hour before, but yeah.
I'm banging on the door. James agrees with you that I'm fascinated. It's like rubbernecking for me. I don't really have much skin in the game. But it's hard. I kind of dislike myself a little bit for wanting to be so interested in these things because I don't want to encourage it. But then I would watch that. I'll definitely watch that as well to see what happens there. Mr. S, she'll win the popular vote. The electoral college is our problem in the US.
That's true, and that's why another thing that's important is who she picks as her running mate, and it will be someone from a swing state. It will be a white old man because this will broaden the appeal of the ticket.
Okay, still a place for white old men then. Hello, it's a real mess at the moment. Oh, this is going back to France now because there's no absolute majority. They presented someone in a rush last night, but Macron, in his television interview, waved it away until after the Olympics.
I missed that last night. Okay.
It is funny, isn't it, though, that sport and other public events can be used in this way. It is bread and circuses, isn't it? Second round was very complex and rushed coalitions to avoid the extreme right from obtaining the absolute majority. Thank our lucky stars, says Liz F., our correspondent over there in Paris right now. Baber's News is here, or is that in Baber's News from Plymouth? I'm not sure. A debate for Wales to leave UK and join the European Union. Do you foresee that England being left alone as Scotland and Wales go to the European Parliament and say, "Can we come back?" but without England?
Scotland have. I think probably missed the boat for a while on independence. I think that was mismanaged, and unfortunately for Scotland, has meant they're now tied to the Westminster Empire for the next 10 years or so. And Wales are never going to vote for independence, and it's only with independence that they can rejoin the European Union. So it's not going to happen until. It's not going to happen until England are ready, and or until Scotland gain independence. And England are not going to be ready to apply to rejoin the European Union for at least 10 or 15 years, and potentially a lot more.
Thank you, Baber's News, for being here. Thank you, Doc, for that response. I only hope the US is ready for a black woman. The US is a bit behind the EU, so electing a woman is one thing, but a black woman is a whole different thing. I'm all for a woman in the Oval Office. And I could make a very cheap Bill Clinton joke at that point, but I won't. And as for the US elections, looking for some more lucky stars and some hard campaigning from Kamala, says Elizabeth. And Bob, the Electoral College is a safeguard to protect against the populace of one area, totally ruling over lesser populated areas. A republic, if you can keep it, said Benjamin Franklin, apparently. Thank you for the history lesson there, Bob, as well. We may well have Astrid joining us in just a moment to tell us what's happening at Expats Portugal's webinars tomorrow evening, and other meetups that are coming up. I think there's a Tamar. Yeah, there's a Tamar gathering this coming Saturday. But we've got you, Andy, and of course we've not mentioned Leiria, and Leiria within the context of the Festa season. What's going on in your neck of the woods at the moment?
Well, we've just finished the medieval Festa, which unfortunately only went on for a weekend. It has historically gone on for much longer, but so I'm not quite sure why, whether this is possibly cost cutting, or maybe they've got something else lined up for us next week. Who knows? Because we do tend to go from Festa to Festa at this time of year. Of course, we've got the Leiria Sober Rodos coming up, which is that fantastic car show that we have. I'm not sure I'm aware of anything else at the moment, but
all right, mate. Well, thank you for joining us. Is there anything else you had in mind to share with us, or that you want to whip out metaphorically from your doctor's notes for us this morning before you go?
No, not at all. It's great to be here as always, and Luta continua.
What?
The struggle continues.
Oh, I thought you were recommending the cuttlefish for lunch. Anyway, great to see you. Take care, mate. Ciao, ciao. Bye. Struggle continues there with the doc in there. I'll tell you what we'll do is share a few pictures of Haddad de Mayo in just a moment as well. And I've got a lovely film to premiere with you. Andy Klein's been busy again, and we've got the most beautiful short film that he's produced for us, and we'll premiere as we go out this morning instead of our usual outro. So thanks to Andy Klein, our filmmaker laureate, and we've got a lovely film about the Canal Festival in Aveiro. Before we go there, nice big round of applause for Astrid, who's joining us normally at the beginning of the show, ending the show with us this morning. How are you doing, Astrid?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. It's been a real mixed bag this morning. I guess some might say that's no way to talk about Andy the Doc Thompson. But yeah, talking about business in the Algarve, it's fantastic. The Canopy presentations, which are online but are normally in Lisbon, and then Andy the Doc talking about politics. And now you talking about what's coming up over at Expats Portugal. What's happening tomorrow night at 7:30? I should know because I'll be hosting it.
Well, you should know, Carl, but I'll give you a little bit of a background.
Yeah,
We've
please.
got the team, Gilda and her team, to actually go and explain all the different types of visa options available to you when moving to Portugal. So not just focusing on one type, but doing a description of what each is, what you need to do to qualify for each of the visas, so which is the right one for you, and just give a general overview, and also the pitfalls of trying to do it yourself versus employing a immigration team to do it for you. So a great one if you are planning on moving in very early stages of coming here and wanting to know which is the best option for your journey.
Right, very good, excellent. Okay, so picking the right visa, talk to the professionals tomorrow night at 7:30. Dream Team at 9.
Yeah.
It is rock and roll, isn't it? It's the rock and roll of migration, our Dream Team panel. They're fantastic, and that's a lot of fun. And as well as the expert advice, we ask a cultural question, generally speaking, which can be hilarious. We found out about Nuno and his ecstatic dancing, didn't we, last week?
It was lots of fun.
Yes, and then there's a gathering, a convergence, which I am sorry I can't make it on Saturday. But this
shame, we've got some good numbers coming along, so it's going to be fun. So we're meeting up for drinks first at 4:00, and then we're going out for an Indian curry night. So it's going to be a big day.
Very good. That's Saturday. People need to RSVP for that, don't they?
Yes, because it is being catered for by our sponsors. So it'd be great. So we've got both Spartan Effects and EI generously donating or sponsoring the food. So it's going to be
I'm even more upset I can't join you now. Right, okay. And then what's this? Tax efficient tips and financial planning for expats in Portugal. We should mention that before we go. Who's doing that and when's that happening?
That's with our friend Henry from Holborn Assets. He's a wealth management expert that we've got on the team. So he'll be coming along and discussing, pretty much that. So,
and he's another one, isn't he, Astrid? He like Sarah Davey has moved to Portugal as well.
Yes, he recently did. He came to Lisbon, but for some reason he's choosing the Algarve. So maybe Lisbon wasn't right for him. But that's the beauty of being able to get here and then exploring around and working out where it is that you do want to settle.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow night at 7:30 for choosing the right visa. Quick weather report from Cascais. How's it looking over there?
Hot.
Really?
Yeah.
Hot.
Yeah.
Muito calor there. There you go.
Yeah.
So sorry I was moaning about the summer, especially to Kev earlier on. Astrid, see you tomorrow evening. Ciao.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Ciao. There she goes. And very quickly then, some pictures from Herdad de Mayo. It's coming out the ground. Look at this. I love that particular shot where we can see concrete being pumped in the foreground and Cristo Rey and the 25 de Abril bridge in the distance there. Yes, as I was saying earlier on, we can remember when this was just like, looked like a big car park, didn't it, for a little while? The marketing suite emerged, the first little mushroom on site, and now look, this is really coming together now. Bobby O'Reilly and his teams and his colleagues' vision over there. Absolutely amazing. Beautiful blue skies. Must be hard and hot work for all those construction workers at Herdad de Mayo at the moment. And that's the view, I think, from the marketing suite there. So keep those pictures coming. More at herdaddemayo.com if you want to find out more about that. As you can see, top right-hand corner, the sponsor of the Good Morning Portugal show. And now I want to share with you, if I may, a beautiful premiere, 2.5 minutes of beauty and beautifully put together, as you might expect from Andy Klein. We go now to the Aveiro Canal festival and some beautiful footage, beautifully woven together by Andy. Thank you so much, Andy, for this. I hope to see you soon, Andy. I hope to see you soon as well. Tomorrow morning, if you're not coming to the meetup, to the Storytellers this lunchtime. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll have Colin and we'll have Heather with us tomorrow. Go motoring Portugal tomorrow with Colin, and boots on the ground Portugal, Heather, answering your questions as well. She lives in Caldas de Rainha if you want to know more about the Silver Coast too. Okay, let's watch the movie.